think Mercedes will want to make the most out of today to score as many points as possible.
So you make a fascinating point. Lewis, P4, fighting for the World Championship. Everyone around him knows he can't afford to take a risk today. He needs to score as many points as possible. Will they go overly hard with him, defend as harder than they normally would, because they believe that Lewis would back out of a move knowing he's got to score points?
Yeah, because Lewis doesn't have to risk today, and there are some guys who have to risk today. So yes, it's a tricky situation, and I'm interested to see how he will manage it, to be honest.
What would you do if you were lining up alongside Lewis today? Elbows out, go for it?
I think depends how you get the first start. If you get a nice toe, you know, go for it. Try to put yourself in the best position possible for turn one. If it becomes messy in turn one, it's that day where it's better to lose 1 or 2 places for him in turn one, because he will be able to overtake, let's say, a Williams or a Ferrari. So yeah, it's quick decisions today from him.
Let's look at the top 3. We haven't had McLaren, Ferrari, Williams as the first 3 on the grid since the 2003 European Grand Prix. Long time ago. That was Raikkonen. Actually, it was Raikkonen's first pole position all the way back then for McLaren. Lando. We always say pole position is important, and yet here is probably the one place you don't want to be on pole, because the guys behind can get such a good run. What has Lando got to do today at the start?
I mean, they have a decent straight line speed now. Anyway, if you get a very good start, the first getaway, it could be just enough to hang on to P1. But if he gets overtaken, let's say by George Russell, he will be able to overtake him a few laps later, because they're just quicker in normal conditions.
So George, obviously starting P3, that's the prime position to take the lead. A lot of people expecting George Russell might lead Williams' first race for 6 years today, 2015, the last time Williams led a race. He's got good straight line speed. Is it enough, though, to hold the others behind, or will they just snap past on DRS?
Yeah, it's in theory, yes, it is the best position. He probably can do it, but it's not gonna last for many laps, I think. So tricky situation, but you have a chance, you go for it, because then you're in P1, you will have a clean air, you can build the gap from your main rivals, and you can always score some points, you know. So everyone will go for it today. Nobody's gonna leave and say, please go ahead, you know.
Yeah. I saw Lando in the hotel this morning. We were leaving at the same time. He said he didn't sleep brilliantly last night, but one thing he knows is that he probably won't be leading lap 1. One thing we agreed on, though, is it doesn't matter where you finish lap 1. It's where you finish the Grand Prix. Where his teammate finished the Grand Prix one race ago in Monza, of course, was top step of the podium. And earlier this weekend, Daniel sat down with Lando and they interviewed one another.
A moment. You probably don't know that song. That was before your time, I reckon.
Yeah, you're quite a bit older than me.
10 years, a decade.
So
that's
like
hectic.
Half my life older again.
Yeah. Look what you got to look forward to. A beard.
A beard, true.
Good looks.
Yeah.
Charm.
All of this.
Yep.
Does it not start going downhill?
Not with these genetics, Lando.
That's wow. Well, Daniel, we'll start by talking about Italy. Tell us about the celebrations after winning in Monza and the homecoming.
Firstly, you have a microphone voice. You have like you just had a presenter voice.
Thank you so much. Do you want me to redo it?
No, it's all right.
Okay.
It's all good. It was well, it was amazing. It was amazing, as you felt and saw and lived. Yeah, I'd had a pretty mediocre year up until Monza, so
yeah,
that made the win like even higher.
Cool.
It's been a long time for me, 3 years.
Okay,
for the team, it's been
enough chat.
Am I going?
Next
all right.
one, yeah.
All right. Think McLaren. Think Lando. How special was it being part of that 1-2? Is that the microphone voice?
In a way. I think for me it was special because
it's your best result in F1.
It was my best result. It was a shame you won.
Because I feel like people
took
forgot
away everything, the fact.
I was like, he just finished second.
Yeah.
Little did they know it's your best result in F1.
I know. So you kind of ruined it.
It's all right. Did you enjoy the shoey? How was my boot?
It really made me want to throw up. I just feel like I couldn't do that on the podium.
Imagine power yakking on the podium.
From your shoe. Okay, now we're getting more serious here, Daniel, all right? You had a tough start to the season with McLaren. How did you deal with that and get the extra performance boost that gave you the win?
Hard work, dedication. Hard work, dedication. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
That's a good answer.
McLaren are steeped in history. It's more like David Attenborough. That's all I can do. And I'm proud to be a part of that journey. But what do you enjoy most about being with that team? It's pretty good, huh?
For an Aussie, I think it was a good try. I think you actually said it well. When you walk down the boulevard, you see all the cars, and then you see all the trophies, and then you see your little trophy. Actually, you had a big one. Mine was a small little trophy. To have a little trophy in there alongside these kind of guys, I think was pretty special.
Did you even watch F1 as a kid?
Every now and then.
Oh, wow, okay.
Not really a fan of Formula One, to be honest.
Yeah.
You have no beard. Why are you doing that? What were your expectations at the start of the season?
That I would win every race.
Wins. Oh, you okay?
Yep.
So just straight up there.
Straight up. It's hard because you know, like, especially the more years you do in the sport, the more realistic you become. Like, you know that it's not easy. You know that if it was easy,
you would have won.
Yeah, you would have won 5 titles by now. So I knew that there was the potential to get podiums with the team. I saw you guys got them last year in 2020, and I only felt like the team was going to get better.
Better, and you could do more. Sure.
Yeah, it's never easy, but I did think we could get it done. I mean, it's a boring question, but what can we achieve as a team for the rest of the season?
Was that the last one? I
think it was.
Quite a few more. What can we achieve, Daniel?
I mean, we've already done it. 1-2. I mean, I know. What else do you guys want from us?
Really. We can swap positions next time.
I think the likelihood of me retiring before you is high, so you can do the winning later.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
You got to grow a beard first before you can win a race.
I'm trying for so freaking long. It just doesn't work. Cool. Well,
yeah,
that's it.
There's an expression, always a pleasure, never a chore. I'm not sure it fits.
I was going to say, does that fit for now?
Let's go with it.
Thanks. I feel like we've bonded.
Yeah.
Well, I think we nailed that.
We've just been down here waving at the fans in the grandstands there, Danny. It's nice to see them all here. You used to have a grandstand here with your name on, with your face on it, massive.
Yeah, I know, huh? Time flies. But yeah, it's good to see the crowd. It's growing more and more in Russia here, the racing popularity. We just need somebody to win the Grand Prix now. So, and then I think with that, it will bloom even more.
Absolutely, man. They're going to get a great race, or they've got a great race in store for them today. We've been talking about the top 3. Let's have a little word about George Russell. Obviously, he's moving to Mercedes next year. He may be leading the race at a certain point today. Do you think he will be thinking about where he's racing next year, playing a role in Lewis's race, or is it all focus on what he's doing today for Williams?
Well, he does his race for sure, but I think if he will come with Lewis at some point of the race, he will not resist for sure. There is no point, from point of view that you just mentioned, that they're racing as teammates next year, and there's no point making things complicated already now, and then Williams and Mercedes, they're not fighting in the same league right now.
Listen, I want to talk about your team, Alpine, both drivers starting in the top 10 today. Great place to start the race, obviously, already in the points. How's the vibe, how's the feeling down at the team?
Feeling is good. Everyone has a bit of tension before the race, which is normal. The strategy is going to be key, you know, trying to get everything right today, because yesterday it was rainy, so nobody knows how the track is changed. But yeah, both cars in a position to score good points today.
Now, listen, we're about to get green light at the end of the pit lane. How crucial are these laps for you as racing drivers? Yesterday, all day wet. Today, obviously, a dry track, but a lot of the rubber will have been washed off with all of that rain. You've had a couple of support races, but not a lot. How much can you learn from these laps to the grid?
I think you try to see if the track has changed at all. You try to put your mentality back with a heavy car with a lot more fuel on board, and those starts, you know, they're so important. They're important for engineers to find the perfect position of the clutch and the perfect amount of heat in the clutch and so on. So it's quite crucial.
It's a great track, of course, lots to learn on these laps to the grid, lots for me to learn the other day when we arrived here, because Formula 2 standout Robert Schwartzman gave me a little tour of the Sochi Autodrome to pick out all of the important points around this circuit.
Good morning. Hello, everybody.
Back here at the Sochi Autodrome, I'm delighted to be joined by Robert Schwartzman. Robert, this track is so unique, it's so specific, of course, around the former Olympic Park, and it's a great circuit to drive. Tell us about the challenges of this place.
Well, the easy section is the long straight, where you have the DRS, then you have the turn 2, which is quite a hard braking point. Then you have the section of 4, 5 and 7, which is sort of like 90-degree corners. They seem pretty easy, but at the same time you sort of need to push the minimum speed quite a lot.
There's not much of a margin for error around this place. Where's the biggest risk factor for a driver to really get it wrong?
Well, I think in the wet, I would say turn 3.
Yeah.
That's the main one. And maybe sort of like a section of 14 in the exit, it's quite narrow there. So if you lose the car in the exit, then you can sort of directly go into the wall.
That long blast through 11, 12, you're constantly turning left through there, but just at the end, it kinks right, you've got to straighten up, get on the brakes and turn it right. How tough is that?
It is. While you're going like 300 and, well, F1 cars go 330 probably, we go like around 300. You sort of at that speed, everything's happened so quick, and you sort of need to predict already like way before what you're gonna do. We're taking a bit more gap into turn 12, so while we go flat, we take a bit more to the right. And then even before we even sort of arrive to the braking point, we position the car straight. So when the braking peak is coming, the car is fully straight, so we have no risk of locking up.
What's it like when you're trying to pass somebody there?
Well, that's a tricky one. I mean, you need to close. It also depends because the guy can move at the last second into the right, and I mean, you just hope that you're going to stop the car and not have a contact.
So tell me, how fun is this circuit to drive, to be in front of the home fans here by the sea, obviously in Sochi, around this old Olympic Park?
I love this place. I have so many good memories, especially from 19. Taking the free title here.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest track because there is like 18 corners. If you are like losing half a tenth in each corner, you can lose quite a lot of time. So you always, in every single corner, you need to maximize everything out of it to sort of be quick. And it's quite challenging, especially in qualifying.
Lovely stuff, man. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for showing us around.
You're spying on me.
Danny Kviat just having a chat with Mario Isola from Pirelli. Were you asking about the weather?
No, he asked me what am I doing here.
Because we've just seen on the screens and just down the way towards the sea, rain falling just off the coast. It's coming.
I definitely see it in the air. I see some thunders as well around. We don't know, the forecast is uncertain, and it might become a bit of a gamble during the race. But if it rains, there's going to be a lot to watch on TV.
Yeah, we had lightning, we had thunder yesterday, and as Thunderclap Newman once sang, there is something in the air. It is raining just off the coast there. It's not very far away at all. Whether the wind pulls it on or not, is really the big question. It's an interesting microclimate here. It's a little bit like Monaco in that you have the hills that frame the circuit. You have the coast, and when the weather arrives, it can just drop really quickly.
Exactly. So sometimes the forecast might not tell you everything, you know, here. So if it happens, if it starts raining in the race, everyone has to react live, you know, quick decisions.
Well, big decisions to be made down here, guys, as the weather rolls in. But back in the studio, I know that looking towards the race right now, there's an awful lot to talk about, not least race starts.
Well, the first place, as you say, Will, to start talking about the start of a race is the race start. And a man who's done quite a few race starts in his career joins me here, Alex Brundle. Now, this Russian circuit, this is quite an exciting first corner big old long run down there. And you've been taking a look back at what people have done before and some of the options that they've made previously, haven't you?
Yeah, I certainly have. I mean, it's a very interesting start, for example, back in 2020. And the first thing I'd like to highlight here is where the lines on the circuit are. You can see the big delta we've got here between the two different sides of the racetrack. And the man who felt that most acutely back in 2020 was Max Verstappen, then dropping behind Valtteri Bottas and dropping into the tow. Now, we've had 4 safety car or virtual safety car causing incidents on the first lap over the last 6 years here in Sochi. You can see why everyone crushes down into this first corner. These bollards, Sam, in this first corner are a big factor on the start as well. You can easily damage your car over those. It's a big, big issue that you'll carry all the way through the race, isn't it?
Yeah, we've seen some drivers get that wrong in the past as well and clobber it into that. Now, you mentioned earlier a really amazing statistic as well.
Yeah, they have brought the safety car out 4 out of the last 6 times. Here's how it looked from Max Verstappen's viewpoint from the dirty side of the racetrack. There he is, and check it out. Look how long this run down to turn 2 is. Gets a terrible start, but he's still able to challenge Valtteri Bottas. There's a big differential between the tyres as well. It's a low-energy circuit. Max Verstappen has to bounce over these curbs and follow the race director's instructions through this chicane. Loses out to Ricciardo, who's going to come through on our right-hand side. From Valtteri Bottas's point of view, gets a decent start, does Bottas. And then look at this. This is a really interesting factor from third on the grid, because the driver in the lead pulls across and actually can take away the slipstream of that driver. And a man who was definitely looking to have a decent start was George Russell, wasn't he, in that Williams?
Well, I've had a question come in on hashtag F1 Live, and do fire those questions over because we are looking at that throughout this show. And George Russell, right, he's starting up the pointing end of the grid. I've been asked on hashtag F1 Live, can George Russell lead into the first corner? Alex Brundle, this one's on you.
Well, as you can see, the further where we follow, Ricciardo's on board on those nice soft tyres. Not many people are going to be starting on those today with free choice of tyres as a result of our wet qualifying session. But the further back you go, the bigger that toe gets. It's going to be a big win or lose for George Russell. He's either going to be taking the toe from Lando and the Ferrari in front, or he's going to be losing out big time from behind. Seems to have the straight line speed, or certainly he was telling us a little earlier on in the weekend.
The plan is to try and get into the lead, to be honest. I mean, we're on the right side of the grid. We are very slippery in the straight. We just got to make sure I get off the line cleanly, and I think if I do that, we've got a real good shot into turn 2. So let's wait and see.
Does this seem mad that you are talking about leading the Russian Grand Prix, that it isn't just up there, that it is a very real possibility for today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these last, again, we only got to think back 5 races. We hadn't scored a point, and we'd only qualified inside the top 10 twice. And here we are, you know, we're starting P3 today. Q3 almost feels normal now, and you know the guys are doing such an amazing job, and you know, really excited, to be honest, because I think with our straight line speed, we know we won't have to pace on the cars around us, but I think we'll make it really difficult for them to pass us.
You've got that straight line speed, as you said, you'll make it difficult for the passes. The winner of this race traditionally comes from within the top 3.
Does it now? Yeah, I mean, I had a little chat with Lando and Carlos just earlier to ask who Lando's going to give a slipstream to down into turn 2, so that could make the difference. But you know, let's see. As I said, we don't have the pace, but we've got the straight line speed.